What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's DILNED. I let everyone know that now was the time that I was going to tell my testimony, aka also known as my story of deliverance. Oh man, this is going to get good. Oh Lord. Before I start, I'm going to do a quick prayer. Father God, as I share my story, God, bless someone, God. Let this story be a light in someone's dark tunnel, in someone's dark situation. Let them know, God, who you are and show them the same light that you showed me. Bless them today and forevermore. May the grace and peace of God certainly abound above your people and the body, God. In Jesus' name, I certainly do pray. I thank you. Amen. Now, and how do I start this story? Interesting. Well, first let me let you know what I once dealt with, and that was what type of individual I was. I was also what it started off as a kid, up until I'm gonna say it started around age 6. The ages before that, some people may say, how do you remember those ages? Well, it's not that easy, but I remember because I was quite the peculiar child. I was the black sheep. I don't know anyone that ever had a black sheep experience where they might have been the middle seed or the second child, never the first, but always the one that falls in the middle. And that is who I was and who I am, and I'm so proud to be that today. I'm so grateful. So as I said, I started off, I was an angry child. I was different. I got picked on. I also, as you all can see, I don't mind showing it off. Now I'm quite happy for this body. I was picked on because of my muscular structure. Everyone bullied me, even I went to school, I was not comfortable in my own skin. And when it came to me being home, I was the second child. I was not the first one. My sister was the first child, and I was not accepted truly with open arms. So some weren't happy that I was brought into the world. And if they were, I surely didn't feel it as a kid. So as time went on, as I went through third and fourth and fifth grade, I seeked out for attention. I also had the problem of being without a father. I knew my father, my earthly father, but when it came to actually stability and being there when I needed it the most, I did not have that. I also have a tremendous, powerful woman of God that is a mother, but also in this part of my story, I must tell it all in honesty. And she was a mother, but also a young mother. And you know what young mothers and young fathers do, and especially if they don't plan on having a seed, they do things and they go about their business. So at a certain point in time, I was lacking attention from both ends of my parenthood. So I was an angry child that didn't provoke me to anger. I was always a mother's girl. I always loved my father though. And if I could have that close, twin bond with my father, I definitely would have loved it. It definitely would have changed some things. And if I had what I needed completely from my mother, I'm sure some things that made my testimony would have been changed. But I then went on to go to my higher grades, and with me being bullied and not having friends and trying to follow. Here we are. This is a big highlight right now. Stop following. If I can tell someone, stop being a follower at a certain point. Embrace who you are, because me not having the attention caused me to be a follower. And I wanted to do whatever could seem to get me some friends, I didn't care what it was. I'm sorry that this may not be what you want to hear, but look at your kids, and if they are in a place and they're young and they're just trying to follow, stop them sometime. Ask them what is the problem, because it caused me at that age of 11 and 12 to do things that I should not have done at 7 and 8. I should not even have known, but they were exposed to me at a young age. So I was angry, and then I was getting bullied, and they were talking, the boys would call me strong, call me Armstrong, just call me men and masculine things. Because of my body structure, I was not confident. I began to despise a mirror. I would take pictures of everybody else, but when it came to me, I would not even want to look at it, because I was not happy at what I had seen in a mirror. My own reflection was like the enemy. I was my own enemy on the outside. And so apparently what was on the outside began to seek in. Internally, I was hurting. Internally, I was empty. Internally, I was yearning for some love and affection and some open arms, and therefore I did not get it. But one person that gave it to me constantly was my grandmother. I love this woman. She is a woman of God and faith and wisdom. She gave it to me every day. Anytime I went outside and everyone was against me, this woman prayed over me. This woman made me look the best way that she knew. I was just so grateful for her. Had I not known this woman, met her, had a grandmother like her, I don't know what I would have done. So here we are. Where are we? We're at the child of anger, and I'm in middle school at this age, and I'm following people, and I'm looking at the things that they have on, and I begin to yearn for it, to want it. So I didn't care if I had to steal for it, because I'm a poverty. I'm known to be in poverty, and also neglected, and also just a black sheep, and everyone talking down on me, knowing my father, knowing he wasn't always here. They're calling me and labeling me things that was not even me. I felt as though the world was a dark world was just getting pushed on my head, and I just couldn't seem to push it up. Like, I know I might not have the best father. I know I wasn't planned on being here, but do y'all know who I really am? Though I might look strong and I may like to put on joggers and sneakers and baggy clothes and play football and not jump rope and short skirts, do you know who I am? Do you know my heart? You know, and they never paid it no mind, you know, just being dark, you know, me being angry. I began to just be so much anger that I would see rage. I would want to hurt someone, you know. I wanted to hurt someone because I wasn't accepted. I wasn't always embraced. I wasn't the one that everyone wanted to see. Can I relate to somebody, or can someone relate to me? You know, and I wrote poems, and I looked around, and I'm like, God, is there a God? I'm here every Monday, you know, through Sunday and forevermore, because my family brought me up in the church. God is good. They kept me there, and my beginning works. Oh man, this is great. You know, but sorry. They kept me there, but I was not actually there. And, you know, I was believing, but I just didn't understand. How can I believe here and then not get no friends, or not get the clothes that I want? Can I at least look like some other kids and stop getting bullied? And, you know, and I was getting bullied, and then they were calling me lesbians at this point in 6th grade, you know, 5th and 6th grade. Then these terms that I didn't even know came up: lesbians, dykes, little boys, looking for vaginal areas. These things were getting called on me. My father called, and he not abused me. He accused me of smoking marijuana. I had no clue what marijuana even was. So I'm like, Dad, this cannot be. And then me and him went for a downfall. My mother began to believe it, you know, and I was just in a rage. I was just in so much rage because, you know, I wasn't getting accepted. I couldn't wear what I wanted. I go to school. They bullying me. I go home. I'm not the favorite. My sister happened to be. And so I was constantly just dealing with heavy weights on me, and I would go to school and I wouldn't be able to soar academically. The enemy was playing havoc on my mind at a young age. I wouldn't be able to focus on criteria because my emotions would be somewhere else, and wherever my emotions was where my mind was. And does anybody have that problem where wherever your emotions is, your mind is, and wherever your mind and emotions is, that's where your heart is? Well, my heart was in a place of darkness and a place of rage and anger and just yearning for attention. So I began to do little things, as if I smoked a cigarette at a young age. I smoked weed at the age of 13. It came back around full blown at the age of 15 years old in 10th grade. I began to smoke marijuana. I began to steal to try to get people's attention. I also was sexually active at a young age I was sexually active before the age of 15, and it caused me to be also open to spiritual warfare. So if I'm telling someone else, just be cautious. Don't do what your emotions lead you to. Don't do what your mind sometimes tells you to do. I was just always on my mind was constantly parties. I began to go to high school after being a follower in all middle school and being picked on by people that I thought was my friends, and these things left a stain and scars on me, and these people don't understand to this day why do I hold it in, because those things have bothered me. I can forgive you, but I never forget the words that you did, the things that you did, and you're not understanding what I was yearning after at a young age. But I can't get mad. Those people were not where I am today, or where I was then. They weren't exposed to the level of love that I seen in front of me by my mother and father, the level of hate that I seen by family members. They weren't exposed, so I would go out with a mindset that was way advanced than the kids that was in my grade. And then when I would get involved with them, they would be scared because they never knew what it was like for a child their age to even know these things. So here I am. I'm in high school. And I don't know, all of a sudden women started being attracted to me. I was touched. I happened to go to a party and in 6th grade, and and I was touched by a young lady, not touched sexually, but just touched, like simply touched. And after that, I felt a weight, like something that had just wakened, like, oh, here I am. It took a touch. See, that's just what I'm telling you. People don't understand that touching and speaking and kissing and gestures, it takes one touch from a certain individual to awaken something in you, or to just let something leap in you and then fester, and then you see the fruits of it later on. See, it's known to be in everyone's family someone of homosexuality, but that specific time was a highlight in 6th grade when those things start opening up in me. I began to be curious to both sexualities in 6th grade, and I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know what love was, because remember, I was lacking it. So therefore, everything, they begin to say everything was love, So I'm like, everything is love. I happened to like this young lady. I also liked guys, and I despise, but the one thing about it, I despise liking the same sex. I will always talk about it, talk against it, say, I never do that. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. You're not going to catch LaBria doing that. And then once that time came where I was tried by my own words, I fell short. And I was in something that I couldn't seem to get out of. When I say I felt as though lesbianism and smoking and drinking was like the handcuffs to me. I was chained by my neck. I was chained in every way by these spirits. And then with that came drinking, and I was stealing for people that I yearned for attention from, and I was in church and I was getting spiritually vexed and aggravated and convicted. But I began at a certain level in my life, I began to be able to control my convictions, where I would be like, yeah, all right, this stop here. I'm not gonna feel bad for no long. It's my life. I'm not gonna feel bad any longer for what I'm doing, because there's no answers to my questions. We talking to this guy, yeah, I believe him, but also I don't believe, because I didn't see him come down to, to me, and I'm still struggling, and so, at this point in time, I'm in 9th grade, and I see people wearing clothes that I don't have, and I'm like, I look at myself and I'm like, no, something gotta give. I happen to be I began to be at a rebellious point with my own mother, just resenting her and resenting everybody that done me wrong. And I was like, you know what, at this time, it don't matter if it's right or wrong. You gotta go get what you demand. What people took from you, you gotta take it, because they're not gonna give it back to you on your time. You gotta go after it. So I had that go get a mentality. I also had the street part of me from my father. So no matter what, I was at the age of 10th grade and 9th grade, I began to smoke weed, and I was about to, start selling drugs and stuff. I was also active with a guy, as well as the young women started being attracted to me. And I was like, somebody likes me, because for years, me being bullied and picked on and not seen and not popular, when someone noticed me, you pulled me in. For you just to see LaBria and to notice me, it was like, I'm going that way. So wherever someone was, they noticed me and they embraced me in some type of way and made me feel important and valuable, I went that way. So here I am in 9th grade and 10th grade. I'm rebellious. I'm smoking weed. I began to smoke weed. I met my brother. He's my best friend. I love this guy. No matter what lifestyle he lives, that's my right hand, 100 grand. And we began to smoke and drink together. We were at parties. I was skipping school. My mother didn't even know I was leaving. I just knew the way out of the building. And I was just at parties getting high. I stole just for satisfaction, to get what I needed, to buy something for someone else. I was paying for someone else to give me what I needed, to give me what I wanted. I was buying young ladies things for money I didn't even have. I was buying men things for things that I never even had. So I was like, I'm trying to buy you. I'm trying to buy your love. You can't, this clearly, what's in front of you is clearly not allowing you to see, really. It's okay that you see me for something else, but I know somewhere, I'm just thinking like somewhere, then I will let them see the real me. So I began to make a false identity with things of this world to satisfy other people's needs. But really, don't forget that I still could not stand looking in the mirror. I couldn't stand looking in the mirror. I couldn't stand my arms at some time, and then as time went on, after I went through a whole downfall. I had been arrested, been smoking, been drinking, exposed to homosexuality, promiscuous at a young age. The spiritual battle for me began. and I failed, and I also was, just dealing with a lot, bullied on my team. My teammates would never understand, what it took me through, the words that were said. They didn't understand what I was dealing with at home. When I was bullied, abused by a coach, every man seemed to have in my family or someone, they always seemed to abuse me. So it fed the seed of error in me towards women. It fed it. Like, this just gave me a reason to be that way. Because the women is what took care of me. I don't know too many men that ever took care of me. So it fed the error. And it stemmed from hurt. I was curious from hurt. That seed of hurt festered. It caused me to connect to the wrong things because I was hurt and resented, and then my hurt showed in anger. So, I just was an angry person, but I began to start, being a fake person. People know me in school. They thought I had all this money. They had no clue what I was doing to even get it. They like, man, she smelled good, she looked good, and guys was coming up to me like, yo, you get BITCHs and stuff. And I'm thinking they coming up to say I'm cute or something. They like, no, you get girls. And I'm like, cool, at least they know me for something. I'm getting something, and I'm popular in school. My name was all around the high school, but I was still empty. I wanted something permanent. I wanted something to cure my void, to cure my pain. And it was nothing, no weed, no person could simply fully fill it. And it would bother me. I'm like, well, why am I happy flesh-wise? I'm getting sex. I'm getting what I want. I'm giving what I want too. But why is this void where my spirit is not happy? I would be with women and I would be talking about the Spirit of the Lord. I'll be like, well, and I'll be with a guy and I'll be like, I go to church, I love God. And I'm not gonna marry you. I'm not gonna marry a woman. And it would irritate, the young women that I was in bondage with, the young men I was. They like, I'm confused. You even doing this or not? And I'm like, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it, but I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't love it. I don't desire it. And no matter what the enemy seemed to throw up my way, no matter what the enemy seemed to throw up my way, the Spirit of God still was inside of me. No matter what, I would speak to God and I would get drunk and I was on the floor and it was like, they was like, cuz, you okay? I'm sitting there talking to God, no lie. I'm like, God, forgive me, Father. I'm drunk. Y'all understand that? A person that's drunk, they speak a sober mind. I'm drunk and I'm sitting here speaking to the Spirit of the Lord. Do you understand that? I want y'all to know it what's inside of you. It shows at the most baddest times. I mean that with all in me. I was drunk, full of alcohol, throwing up on the floor, and I was crying out to God. I was high, and I told my brothers and sisters before I went out, I said, we got to get on our knees because we're going to do some repentance. Even when I was high, the Spirit of the Lord was still dealing with me. So when I come to talk to somebody, all because you're going through fire and people don't hurt you, don't mean that the Spirit of God is not in you or the Spirit of God is not with you. God said He would never leave you nor forsake you. Someone understand that you're protected, and what should have took you out? Oh my gosh, y'all don't even understand. But back to the story. And then as in 10th grade, I was able to smoke and drink and do all these things and be rebellious to my family. I was suicidal. I began to try to kill myself because I was doing the very things that I despised as a kid. The things that I was doing was not satisfying to my spirit. My spirit and my soul, and they were at a constant war, and it was playing havoc with my mind. I couldn't even soar academically. I couldn't soar on a basketball court. Everything was just pulling me down. And here, look, I don't know if you can see some scars, but I tried to kill myself many times. And, I swallowed peroxide. I got into a relationship with a woman, and I did that. And, the next year's approaching, I fell in love for the wrong women. I got with this woman, and she left a mark in my life. Nobody believes that this is a part of my testimony. I got with the woman, and I'm not going to disclose her name, but this name is still tattooed on my arm because I felt as though, what's the point of covering it up if I know what lies beyond the ink? It doesn't move. It doesn't remove the real tattoo. It doesn't remove what the person in you did. It does not. And I got with this young lady, and I was at this point in my life, I was just tired of keep on going, tired of being hurt, not being happy. I told my mama at this point, I actually told God, look, I'm done. I'm done looking for love. I'm done. I'm tired of giving people things and they're not giving me what I'm asking them for. I'm a sweet girl. I don't want to be mean to nobody. Why can't they give me what I'm giving them? So I got with this young lady after I had met a young man. But the young man had told me he wasn't worried about nothing but, the three things he said was boxing, money and art. And it was a hard curveball for me. So this beautiful young lady, beautiful straight teeth, came along, and I was like, it's my 12th grade year. I've been smoking and drinking. And God got me together in my 11th grade year, and I couldn't do it no more. My mother called me by my name. She called me by DILNED, and she called me by the name that God gave me that is going to empower some young people. And she told me, if you're going to be DILNED, I'm going to support you. And I always wanted my mom to support. My mother wasn't always at the games, that I had, so I didn't think that she supported me by it. But when she said that, it stopped everything. It changed my mind spiritually. It was like as if she was speaking to my spirit. And from that day on, I began to change in 11th grade, I began to read the Bible and just reading endlessly. I'll be in class just all in the Bible all day, and then it was as if something was in me that was time for it it was getting to the point where it was almost time for it to come up. I met this young lady, in 12th grade, and I began to fall for her. I thought I did. And because I was changing myself to this fake image, and this young lady fell for this image. She began to say she loved me, and I was just feeding, and I began to say I love her, and I didn't understand that every time I spoke a word that had action behind it, it had power. So me saying I love you, I was in love with this young lady. I began to do it, and I told this young lady, I will never forget. I said, when I fall for you, I'm going to become really emotional, very very affectionate, because I'm a very soft young lady. And she said, okay. I said, just promise me something that you won't take advantage of me. Let me stop you there. Anytime you have to tell someone that really loves you or you like them not to hurt you, it means something. You shouldn't feel that you need to get to the need, to that individual and say, I'm asking you not to hurt me. If you really find someone, you shouldn't have to tell them don't hurt you, because they should not give you that action to make you feel as though you need to tell them that. So just be cautious. And at that point in time, I fell, and I was still in that lifestyle as a senior, knowing I began to feel confused all over the place, like something is going on. This is a spiritual battle. I no matter what, I still won't leave the Spirit of God. No matter how much sin I'm doing, and I'm controlling my convictions here, and I still can't change. And it was as if it was a stronghold, like I was in a weak, dark place. It was as if I seen Get Out, and I felt like I was falling. It was this light that will always flicker at the end of this tunnel. It was and it was fading out. And I just knew me and this young lady had a landmark in our relationship. As I graduated, we came across this disagreement with my mother. And I never forget it. And I went out and I left out and I went to drink. I had Taylor Spur in my bag. And I'm all woozing, I'm on, and I'm like, man, I'm upset, but I felt the spirit of death. And I felt it felt like death was just right there. And it's like, I'm waiting to take you. And I told the young lady, I said, I don't feel like I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I don't feel like when I go to sleep, I'm gonna wake up. So what I did was, once we got where we was going, it's after 2:00 in the morning, y'all. I don't know how I had the strength, but the Spirit of the Lord convicted me, and it dealt with me, and I prayed, and I was able to get a good prayer out. And I woke up and I was like, I'm still here. And I knew at that moment that whatever changed, whatever God was calling me to do, I had to do it. But I kept delaying it, and I kept pushing it off. So when God was still dealing with me, like, stop, I kept ignoring God. And I began to worship who I was with. And no matter what, the girl could have hurt me, called me a bitch. She would call me faggots and stuff. And when I was going to be feminine, and I didn't understand, because I'm like, I'm a girl. No matter how much I might dress tomboyish, or no matter how much my voice might go, yo, it's like I'm still a girl. I still got this. I still got that. I didn't understand. I was like, she's delusional, but I love everything about her. And as I began to put that thought in my head, and I'm like, when you're with someone, because I was mature about love, you love everything about them, their flaws and all. I began to worship that girl, not knowing that I was making her idol in my life. So I was committing the sin of idolatry, along with the other sins that I already was doing. And then as time went on, slowly but surely, I graduated, and me and this girl broke up, and I went through a whole road of depression. What God was trying to avoid me from going through, I went through. And he told me to get out of it. I went to leave this young lady 3 times, but I never stuck to it. And when I say I lost weight, guys, I lost weight. I lost about 15 to 20 pounds, and I wouldn't eat food. My family, my church family, my mother, they were worried, and I went through a real depression, and it took me a year to get out. The way for me to cope was I began to smoke weed every day. Once I was angry playing ball, I shattered my fist. This is how I did that, if y'all can't see. I scared my whole team, my coach, and when I punched the locker when we lost the game, and my whole coach, I had to go to Mercer. They told me to go get evaluated mentally. I was plotting on killing this young lady and who she was with, because she left me, and I was, at this point, I had told this person I was devoted to them. I actually had accepted. I told God, look, Lord, I cried to God, and I said, Lord, I'm willing to accept the consequence, knowing that the pit of fire is nothing that I could take. I accepted it for someone else, and I said, I'm accept suffering. I began to suffer like never before. My words began to come alive. And no matter what, I wouldn't leave. And at this point in time, we broke up, and I was going through depression. I was angry. I was smoking weed every day. I had met another young lady. I also was still talking to the guy I used to lay with. It just didn't stop there. I was in college. I wasn't passing. Me being depressed caused me to lose fail my whole first semester, I shaved my hair because I had an identity crisis. I wanted this young lady to notice me. Like, this is what the enemy does. Like, you get into something, he feeds off of you not knowing who you are. So me not knowing, I got into a relationship not knowing who I was, and I began to change into what that person wanted me to be. And I wasn't happy. And then I met another young lady that changed. If I hadn't met her and the Spirit of God didn't come up in our relationship, we both wouldn't even be, probably not even done talking to women. We would still be in bondage, or maybe still together. But God got into our relationship, and God pulled us out of homosexuality. That's a beautiful woman. And the one that I was in bondage with, that don't mean that she's not beautiful. She's a beautiful woman as well. I wish her the best. But this is a part of my story. I was there in the Spirit of the Lord. Before 2018 came in, he told me, you cannot take this into 2018. And I loved this woman that I was with, this last young lady that caused me to slow down. If I hadn't met her and the Spirit of the Lord didn't speak to us, I probably would still be drinking, still be at parties, And I told her, and she told me God had told her the same thing, and then told me. And I said, this gotta be God. And before I got with my grandmother, prayed over the relationship. Once I said, God, I give it to you. Despite me being in error with a woman, I still love you that much to give you it, period. Because for a while before that, I never was at the point I would justify, being with a woman. I used to be like, well, if I get married to him, God is going to just excuse it. But God didn't say that. He made for men and women to be together so they can replenish and reproduce, and do things orderly. So at this point, I let her know we broke up, in December before. And if not, it was like right at the new year. And my life went for a turn. And I haven't been with another woman, and I haven't smoked weed, and I haven't drank the way I used to drink. I haven't done none of those things, You might have slip-ups, but I have been delivered, and I don't think of going back. I just tell God every day, strengthen me, God, please. Strengthen someone else. Let this testimony be able to help someone else. See, people that I used to do things with was upset that I'm not dressed as a guy anymore, or that I'm not hanging with who I used to. But I come to tell them, you're not God. I don't owe you any explanation. God, the Spirit of God has sustained me. He has shut my wound. With my wound, I should have had kids. I should have had things. I should have had diseases. I could have been killed. I could have been at the hand of judgment without the purpose of God and the mission of God being complete in my life. I'm just so grateful that the Lord, the God I serve, is so merciful. Even to those that speak against him, he still loves you, and he never leaves or forsakes. And he did not condemn me according to Romans 8. God, he told me that I wouldn't be condemned. And I'm not condemning no one else, but I come to tell you my story. So yes, if people wanted to know why I dress different, it's because the Spirit of the Lord has convicted me. The Spirit of the Lord has sustained me. The Spirit of the Lord has delivered me. The Spirit of the Lord has just shown himself great and mighty. And I'm just so grateful for it, for him who's able to keep me from falling. Oh God, that does above all things that I can imagine. He's done it all. So I truly hope that this story could empower someone. I am so grateful to have even had enough storage on my phone to say this, but hopefully you all understand my transition and why I am not the same Labria that I used to be, and why I go by DILNED, because there was a transition in my life and God has sustained me by his mercy, grace, and love. And I pray that the peace of God is upon the grace and peace of God is upon you. And you guys have a great day. Thank you for staying tuned. This will be up, and share this if you want to, if it helps you. And goodbye.